Hello and welcome to today's cybersecurity webinar. My name's Phil Jackman and I lead on CyberNorth, Dynamo Northeast Cybersecurity Cluster, supported by Accenture and the Innovation Super Network, and recognized by DCMS and the National Cybersecurity Centers representing the region. So we're supporting the Northeast as a great place to deliver cybersecurity services. So today's event is around CyberFirst, a program of opportunities to help young people aged 11 to 17 years old explore their passion for tech by introducing them to the fast-paced world of cybersecurity. Developed and delivered by the National Cybersecurity Centre. I'm joined by Patrick from the National Cybersecurity Centre, as well as Chris Serger from Schools Northeast and Ard van Moorsel from Newcastle University. I was going to be joined by Adam Pickering from CGI, but unfortunately he's come down not well. So I'll let them introduce themselves later. So the format for today will be a presentation from the National Cybersecurity Centre to Patrick, followed by a panel discussion. And if you have any questions, please can you post them on the Q&A. We're recording the session and we'll publish it later. So thank you very much. Patrick, could I ask you to put your slides up, if possible?
Is that all working, Phil?
It is. Thank you very much.
It is. Thank you very much. Excellent. Right. Okay. As you can see there, my name's Patrick, and I work for the NCSC as the lead for CyberFirst Schools. I've been the technical lead within the CyberFirst scheme since its inception about 5 years ago. So if any of you have seen any of our courses or any of our stuff, then I've been quite heavily involved up to this point. But today I'm going to be presenting on an initiative that we're offering to the Northeast, which is the concept of a school carrying the CyberFirst brand or a college carrying that brand. So I'm going to talk you through some of that process, if that's okay. Does that all sound all right, Phil, so far?
Yep.
Okay, right, just sanity check. I don't want to be talking to myself. Right, so what we're going to cover today, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what the NCSC does. I know living down south, we assume everybody knows what we're up to, but it's not always the way. In my defence, I did go to college or university at Newcastle Poly, studied to be a quantity surveyor. I never did that for a job, joined the civil service, and I'm still here 20 odd years later. So my ties to the Northeast are still quite strong. And for all of you people up there who say us students never go home, I did. So maybe I'm one of the few. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about CyberFirst, what we're up to, in case you haven't heard of the brand, context of CyberFirst Schools, some high-level requirements, what the recognition means, the application process, and as Phil said, Q&A at the end, if you so desire. Okay, right, introduction to the NCSC. On the left-hand side, picture of our office in Cheltenham, affectionately known as the Donut. Spy HQ or Spy Listening Post or Snoopers Post, whatever you want to call it, if you're reading the Daily Mail or the Guardian, depending if they like us or don't like us at the time. And then on the right-hand side is our building in London. Been quite a lot in the press about the process to acquire or rent in that building, so I won't comment on that too much. But it's a lovely office in the centre of London, pretty close to Whitehall, which was the main point. What's our mission? You know, we want the UK to be the safest place to live and work online, and to be able to do that requires an awful lot of things to be in place. So trying to do all of that kind of covers off both of those organizations, whether it's protecting us against the kind of terrorist threat and from the conventional GCHQ mandate, or the cyber threat and all of that kind of cybercrime and malware, and how do we help people to protect themselves under the NCSC. We're trying to, as it says there, to protect all the critical organizations in the UK, but as I'm sure you can tell, in a pandemic, just about every organization can be critical, because if your supply chain goes down, no matter what it is, has impact everywhere else. So we really are attempting to do as much as we possibly can to keep everything working, and to put people in a position where they can protect themselves. So that's the spy agency bit out of the way. Now we'll do CyberFirst. So it's our cyber education brand. We don't retrain ballerinas. That was DCMS. So if anyone's wanting questions about the adult retraining, then they can push them towards DCMS. We do the kind of youth space. So when I was in the team in 2015, we were tasked with how would we encourage undergraduates to consider cybersecurity as a career option? And we thought that giving them money, if they did that and came into our development scheme, was a good way to go forward. So it still sits at £4,000 per year if they are in our development scheme. They also get paid for summer placement, so it's a little bit more money than that. I think about 250 quid a week, so it could be another £2,000, so £6,000, not inconsiderable sum of money for the years of your course. The reason for this is that we saw not enough people applying to roles we advertised, and we assumed, given our mandate and the excitement and the perks that we had, then most of industry probably was in the same situation. I think all the research has pretty much borne that out, that people with advanced cyber skills or even applying for cybersecurity practitioner posts are in short supply, or it's a very small pond. So rather than becoming slightly more elite, we decided to see if we can put more fish in that pond so that we can all fish for different types of people. So that was the concept of the CyberFirst bursary scheme. You don't have to be studying computer science to be in that scheme. You can study pretty much any degree that you like. You don't have to have studied computer science through school. Our whole concept is that we can take someone with an aptitude and an affinity and a passion for cyber and take them through the process to get them a job at the end of their graduation, because we'll offer them work placements or training or whatever they require to facilitate that. It would have been really easy to make that a precondition, and that we would just take the best, but we didn't go down that route. We want a diverse group. We really tried hard to make it gender neutral, but that's nearly impossible. As I'm sure you're aware, the GCSE stats in computer science mean that an awful lot of girls have disconnected from that route, and it would take some significant social media input to get them to reconsider it at 18. So we do have considerable success considering what occurs on the ground. We're up in the 30% of female intake, which is really good and way above industry standards. So you can see we really mean it when we're trying to get more diversity in. What does the student get? Well, they can choose. We have like a dating agency for all the companies. I think there's over 120, 130 organizations that offer placements, and they say what they want. The students say what they want, and we do some magic in the middle. We try and place them in the best placements possible to them. So they can choose to fill in blanks, or they can choose to specialize a little bit more. They can try public sector, private sector, defense, retail, finance. It doesn't really matter. They get to choose what they do, as long as those placements have a cyber theme. We also have, year-long placements within our own organization, and some industries actually fund some of those students within our scheme entirely, so that they will come to them at the very end. Okay, so the degree apprenticeship scheme. So this is a slight variation in that we decided that the best way to train up experts across the range is to, at 18 years old, take them into an apprenticeship at GCHQ in Cheltenham, or another slight variation up north in software. So we're looking for 18-year-olds with a passion and an interest to come into our scheme. So we still have those same diversity stats. We're not looking for elite students. We're looking really for students with an aptitude, students who are a little bit different, but across a range of skills and backgrounds, so that we get a diverse group of problem solvers within our own organization. So it's that whole earn whilst you learn, 20,000 quid wages, but they do kind of do have to behave themselves. So the best sell to a parent is that they need full security clearance, which means no drugs, no bad behavior for the rest of their lives. So that can be a sell. Depends on the student. There's some grade requirements there. We really do try to set the level to get in as much talent as possible. Our difficulty is that even across the genders, girls tend to associate a really good organization wanting 3 A's, and if you lower that, sometimes they say, well, I don't want to be associated if they're only wanting B's or C's. So it's a really tricky balance to strike, that we're trying to be inclusive, but also not trying to have that kind of unexpected consequence. But we do need some element of ability in maths to be there, because so much of what we kind of teach is mathematical based, as I'm sure you're aware. And those positions can go into our offices in Cheltenham, Manchester, or Scarborough. Okay, so CyberFirst courses themselves. So I designed or procured most of these courses. I've set the curriculum and I manage the delivery of them in terms of the style that they're being done in, and feedback to our training provider that they're either not or they are doing what I want. So they're 1 week long, or they were when we did them in a real environment. In our virtual world, they're now 2 weeks long, but they're half a day for 2 weeks. And they're for year 10s, which is the Defenders course, year 11s, which is the Futures course, year 12s, which is the Advanced course. And as a precursor to those, in Key Stage 3, we have 2 called Trailblazers and Adventurers, which we use just to get people familiar with digital, CyberFirst brand, what we do, and then they can maybe do our other courses. They're quite in-depth, quite technical, but they're quite fun. And those courses have a 50-50 gender split on intake. So we are trying to ensure that at 18, we have as many girls as boys that have had an opportunity to learn more about cybersecurity under our brand. They're very much like laying out a buffet. The kids can find what they like. They learn how to learn. We are not teaching them to be forensic analysts or pen testers or sysadmins. It's very much, here's all the stuff that cyber could be. See what you like. Please stick with us and learn a little bit more. So we do focus heavily on cyber. We do, as possible, try to match the school curriculum, but there's just really not vast amounts of cyber in there. So a lot of it is new material you probably wouldn't find in school. Those are roughly the age ranges. We of course offer CyberFirst outside of England. So there's Irish or there's Scottish differentiations on what the years are called, but roughly kind of those are the things that we do. Right, so now why am I talking to you today? This is the offer to the Northeast. Would you like to become a CyberFirst school and carry our brand? Well, the background is that in the Gloucestershire area and in Wales, we offered the option to become a cyber schools hub. Could you work within those counties? We as a local employer, could we offer support to build our base around us and support schools to do computer science and getting people to consider computer science in a different way, better around our schools. We wanted them to encourage more students to take up computing as an option. We wanted that diversity issue challenged. We wanted to see all of the different career routes. We wanted resources made by teachers. It's quite easy in government to say, do it like this, do it like that, but if that doesn't work in school, it's wasted. So we're very much wanting teachers to write for teachers so that it really is the most impactful and useful that we can do. So we've facilitated that. And then the real bonus was that we used companies within our network who have volunteers to come and work with schools and support schools and to really make cybersecurity come to life within those schools. And there's some of the imagery and some of the branding that we used to use. Oop, someone broken a plate. Okay, so what are the benefits to you of becoming a school or a college with CyberFirst branding? At the moment, you had to apply for a particular standard of award, gold, silver, or bronze, but now we'll take your application and we will assess it to those elements. But what does that mean? We're really hoping with our industry engagement and bringing industry to the school in ways that they want. We're hoping to support that Ofsted requirement of labour market intelligence, bringing employee encounters to schools, hit those Gatsby benchmarks, all that kind of stuff. Is that something that you would like help doing in a digital and a cyber context? If I was a parent and I was bringing my year 7 kid or year 6 kid to an open day, and the school said, look, we really recognize that digital is going to form a massive part of the 4th industrial revolution, the employment landscape, the ever-increasing automation that's going to occur. We as a school wish to offer our students as many opportunities to increase their knowledge of digital, how it integrates to the curriculum, how cyber fits into it as a school, as a holistic digital overview. That's really what we want to build, so that the school can offer itself as something different, but using digital and cyber as its root and its association with GCHQ, the NCSC, and CyberFirst, as well as the huge array of industry companies that are behind that brand. We always feel that some students love to study academic study subjects for their academic integrity, and they'll read textbooks and they'll read further, and that's great. Other students want to know how you would use it. So once you set that kind of ambition as to what you want to do, I want to be a data scientist who can secure data for the NHS, then you might become more engaged with your topic because you're aiming at an objective rather than just the A or the B that some students really like to do and some don't. So we're trying to make it much more business orientated. They can see the context around what they're doing, and then build that community. So we're really wanting to build a cyber ecosystem. What does that mean other than, you know, tick chart on a spreadsheet? How can I get undergraduates from our scheme, recent graduates from our scheme, academics who are associated with, it says CISC there, which is looking to improve the teaching of cybersecurity within UK universities. How do we get people from those entities coming into schools and meeting the young people, and it really becoming kind of a normal churn that young people meet people a bit like them, slightly older than them in the beginnings of their careers, and then learn how other people are doing things, maybe refine and improve their offerings. So that kind of cyber ecosystem is really something we're wanting to build as a combination of industry, academia, and government. We're wanting to build opportunities for students to try stuff between CyberFirst associated schools. That could even go, you know, international, but at the moment we'd probably be looking very much within our network to build on that. And we have a portal of resources, as I said before, under the Cyber Schools hubs that are teacher-centric and that can be deployed and used in schools, written by teachers and hosted on our website. And then the last point on there, we have a whole bunch of ambassadors who are volunteers from industry who are aligned with CyberFirst values and represent us out and about in the community. And we would be really wanting to align those ambassadors with CyberFirst schools so that we can really get the schools operating in a cybersecurity and digital capacity at a higher level. So industry support provided schools and colleges, you know, what kind of stuff are we talking about? So we've got kind of these kind of models here for the trial, and we use the regional CyberFirst ambassadors to get that done. So, you know, there's more stuff being put out there. There's more aspirations, and there's kind of Gatsby benchmarks being hit. We have a site where you can now sign up to do, or industry sign up to do e-mentoring, so the students again can apply for e-mentoring. They're offering work experience in a non-COVID situation. You know, perhaps that would be a little bit more taken up, but at the moment, you know, it's a bit of a struggle. And then they supported lots of clubs, brought in expertise, brought in kit, brought in stuff. Let students lead groups to bring in kind of some of that fourth industrial revolution stuff, such as IoT and robotics. We're wanting to improve resources for teachers, give them more stuff to do. These are really key things to what the hub was all about, and then expand those cyber-centric activities, such as the theme days. Currently, we're looking at doing things, you know, in a virtual environment, and we'll see how that goes, and maybe that will be our route forward. So the CyberFirst ambassadors, kind of lots of words on this site, but you can see the regions, you can see where you are. I'm sure you all know where you are. But we're really hoping to get, you know, as many parts of the country covered by as many experts as we can who can come in and support schools and localize the network of industry around those schools, so that you get rather a personalized support from the industries and businesses closest to you. We're not just talking about pure tech sector stuff. You know, your local supermarket, your local high street now probably all have digital offerings. Are there opportunities for students to learn from that? Are students going to raise their kind of aspirations if they see that digital and cyber can be implemented in so many different ways? We want to, you know, work on things that work and share that, and things that don't work we wish to, you know, give feedback on. Can we improve, or can we refine? So, you know, there've been cyber days in schools. If you're following online, Empower has a whole week of cyber activities next week. University of the West of England, UWE, are having another cyber week the week after that. So it's kind of supporting these kind of things is really what we're after. You know, the clubs, and then the industry developed training material. I'm sure you can read this slide without me having to go through all of it. Okay, so the 10 high-level requirements. What are we really looking for in an application? So we recognize that we can't just go to a computer science or an IT teacher and say, can you just drive all of this? We need senior management within any college or school to accept the offer, which is that you need to do things slightly differently across the piece if this is going to work. And the only way you're going to get that is if your senior management are backing the strategy. So we do require that letter from senior management saying this is the support I wish to offer to this application. We need a cybersecurity education strategy. So here is what we want to do and where we want to do it. We want computer science team to have specialist staff. We want there to be an offer of computing, should you have those year groups within Key Stage 3, 4, and 5. We want the computer science team to be offered CPD opportunities. There's an awful lot being offered by the NCCE at the moment, but there are other things to do. So technology is ever changing, cyber is ever changing. So if there are opportunities, can they take advantage of them? We're looking for some minimum hours of Key Stage 3 computing, as well as with minimum hours of enrichment activities. We want there to be a network of schools supporting other schools, so that link between primary and secondary becomes just a little bit more smooth, especially in a digital context, and a cybersecurity one. Can secondary schools support primary, and can primary provide secondary schools with students that are of a similar standard? Very much that external engagement with industry. We're looking, have you got any already? What do you do? Is this something you're wanting to develop? And then that commitment to promoting CyberFirst opportunities as and when they're available. So recognition. Here are those badges. So you have plaques that you can put up. You have branding that you can put on things. It's awarded for 3 years after it's been granted, and you'll be allowed to use the whole pack of materials. The silver brand is not so far off the gold. We're hoping that everyone is aspiring to gold, but we don't want to exclude people that don't make the gold standard. So the silver one is there. Again, you can use all of the branding. It's again for 3 years, and we support you if you are looking to go up to another assessment. And then our final one is for those schools who are just taking a first step. They've maybe got some of the parts, but it's all not quite coming together. It's kind of a transition brand. We say, look, okay, we recognize that you are a different school, but you're not quite of our standard yet. So this is a 1-year recognition, but very much we're looking for that application to be upgraded to a silver and a gold within that year. So it's a transition award, and we're not wanting all of the use of these brandings by schools, colleges to differentiate themselves. We really want those to be the silver and the gold, so it's a slightly different status. Successful applications. Once you're signed up, you've been assessed. We'll show you the terms. We'll set out the obligations, how you are terminated, if that's a thing, how we respect confidentiality, as well as the logos. The application process itself. This is where the calls are hosted. I'm sure you've probably seen these. Lays out everything that we need. If you follow the structure, should be okay. Page limits are really mandatory, so please don't exceed them. We will look at any evidence provided, so please provide as much as you can. And as it says there, we can pre-review if that's what you want us to do, give you some initial kind of first batch feedback. And then again, there's the Welsh one, not quite so relevant in this presentation. An assessment itself, we get a panel of people from academia, industry, and government, but not us, to look at those applications so that they have a very independent and broad view of the applications. We put 3 people per application, so it's a slight committee, but at least it means we get quite a rounded view of each school. Consensus scores is agreed, criteria is marked and assessed, and we have a chairperson to ensure that we have consistency. So it's a very, you might recognize this from academia, but we're bringing the stuff we do in academia down into the school domain or sector to try and really improve it and professionalize it. Scoring, so yeah, fail, pass, meets requirement, does not meet requirement, and then we have these kind of levels that show where we're looking for and why we grade gold and silver. And we're really wanting, exceeds and outstanding to be exemplar type schools. Timescales, call for submissions. I think it's still running. I think the deadline for the Northeast is the 11th of December. Then we'll start the assessment process in January, announce the results in February, and then the rollout as we cross regions across the UK. If that's what the funding envelope is, we'll continue from that point. But that's roughly where we're at. Right. Okay. I think I nearly hit my deadline of 28 minutes. I think we're now in. So I think I had 30 minutes. So we're bang on.
Excellent.
Stop sharing.
Yes, please do. And I'll get my screen back. And for some reason, I can't see some of the Q&A, so I'm not sure if anybody's asking questions. But okay, just before we move on and invite the panel speakers to come on, Patrick, could you just why are we doing this? Why do we need more young people into the industry?
Oh, why? Well, cyber's in everything. It's in just about every job that we do. Look at the COVID situation. How many high street businesses have put up an e-business offering? If they want to keep that going into the future from that initial first rough build, they're going to need someone to help them with the cyber, no matter what their profession. And every individual needs to ensure that the way they interact with the internet and with their own technology, they're keeping themselves cyber secure. Apple, Google, Microsoft, they can't protect you from being an idiot. So how do we empower more people to take responsibility for the way they engage with their kit from a security perspective? How do we allow more sectors other than the tech sector to understand what all this cyber is about? How do we get more diverse people into roles? If I wanted a bunch of geeky nerds making all the decisions, we could have left it as it is. But we want people with empathy and emotional intelligence. We want people that look at the big picture. We want communicators. We want people that can speak business. How do we get that unless we help? Because at the moment, those pathways aren't working as smoothly as we want. I'd like every student, either 18 or 30 college, to have done a cybersecurity module to quite a high standard and understand where digital is coming into whatever job they want to do. That's not going to happen for a very long time. So we're trying to show the requirement, how it's possible, allow people to try and figure their own routes forward. And the Northeast, we've really struggled in some of our offerings to make them fly, which means that we need to do more stuff on the ground to make you comfortable that we're offering a good thing and the Northeast can really benefit. I mean, you've got some amazing tech industries up there. There's an awful lot of gaming industries around Newcastle, I think, at big gaming companies. There's other big employers. You might not think of them as tech or digital, but they are. How do I get kids thinking about that rather than putting on the black and white or the red and white and playing football as their aspiration? I want them to be looking at digital as well.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for that, because I think there's this myth that you have to be a geek to get into cybersecurity, but there's all kinds of talent required. I hear that there's an estimated 3.5 million job vacancies in cybersecurity globally. You mentioned a couple of industries that we have, but some things that people may not be aware of, but we host in the region here many of the big public sector sheds, DWP, HMRC, NHS BSA, which are all substantial employers in the public sector, and so all benefit is paid out of Benton. Pensions, NHS BSA look after the NHS infrastructure, and these are huge organisations. Okay, so Patrick, if you wouldn't mind just hanging around, because with having Adam out of the way, I wouldn't mind just if you could speak on behalf of some of the things that have gone on in industry, if you can. But can I ask Chris to come up and just give us a few words on who he is?
Hi, Phil. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Chris Zarag. I'm the Director of Schools Northeast. We're a charity and a network of all 1,150 schools in the Northeast. And our main aim is to try and provide a strategic voice for Northeast schools to put a regional accent on the policy debate around education. From a practical point of view, what we want to do as well is to help schools to engage with relevant opportunities, opportunities like this. But also to ensure that those who are providing those opportunities understand the context that Northeast schools are facing and operating in, so that they're not providing things which just aren't going to fit with the day-to-day of what the schools do.
Okay, thank you very much. And Ard van Moorsel.
Hi, Phil. Hi, everyone. I'm a professor in cybersecurity at Newcastle University, and I work a lot with NCSC and GCHQ and have done so for the last 10 years.
Excellent, thank you very much. I meant to say actually, Patrick, when you were on that, we're recently new to this, and we've got 3 ambassadors, which I think I started, but the other 2 are in academia at the moment, so we're always looking for more. Okay, my first question then to you, Chris, and when it comes to careers opportunities and support, I know that schools are right up against it at the moment, but what is it that schools want from industry?
Well, that's quite a broad question. Very broad.
I wasn't going to get away with an easy one, was I?
Because when you kind of think of the northeast, and you've got some really built-up urban areas, you've got areas of high deprivation, we've got a large number of quite remote rural areas as well. Large schools in the cities. Then you've got some quite small primaries first dotted about in the rural areas. So when you ask kind of what they want, that's a really difficult question to get an aggregate of 1,150 schools. But I think the key in kind of finding out what they want really is to try and engage with from the point of view of a discussion as to, this is what we'd like to achieve. Tell us more about your context and what is it that you're trying to achieve, and then see how you can support each other. I think where people tend to struggle when they engage with schools is that they say, here's a package, isn't it wonderful? And it just doesn't fit with the context of individual schools for whatever reason. COVID, I think, as anybody who's working in or with schools will know, is quite a horrendous time for schools. The pressures on staff and the additional workload have been quite horrific. But one of the things that's been really positive about the whole sort of COVID episode has been the way that staff have developed their own cyber skills, in the sense that they're now using Zoom, Teams, all kinds of virtual communities to communicate and support each other, to reach out to parents and to other service providers as well, whether that's within local authorities or the NHS or even businesses. So there is a window now, I think, particularly for anything cyber related, to begin that conversation and find that there are kind of new and more effective ways of engaging with them, finding out what they want, and then sort of meeting them halfway in terms of working together.
Okay, thanks. So at this point, I was going to ask Adam from CGI about what industry, especially the tech sector, could offer young people by way of support. But Patrick, is this something that you can give some examples of what industry is doing to support schools?
Sure. So it all kind of depends. So let's say you have a year 7 student or a year 7 year group. What is it you want to do? You want to find if they have an aptitude for something. So can industry help them play with some stuff so they understand, I like the creating, I like the fixing, I like the programming, I like the designing, the graphics or the art. So I think I can't just go hard on cyber, to a year 7 group with cyber activities and try cyber, because they're gonna, what are you talking about? What are these words? I don't really know what you're offering me. So helping industry with kind of putting the brackets around the things that they do for the outcomes that they're after. Within year 7 and year 8, I'm really looking to broaden the aspirations for what they like and what they have a talent for and aspiration for, and then giving industry opportunities to offer up lots of different things within that kind of environment, whether they're supporting a big cyber day with an individual thing, something like Empower. We have a whole bunch of employers all doing lots of different things. Different schools sign up for different bits. The kids could do different bits, or we point them at online resources. Then as the students progress, they've made their GCSE choices. Let's say they're in year 9, they're late year 9. If they're choosing technology, they're choosing cyber, how do we allow them to try different things? Are they wanting to go down the ethical hacking route and learn how to counter that? Are they wanting to go down the forensic routes and look at data acquisition and how data is stored and how it can be recovered? Are they looking to do kind of OSINT? Are they looking to do problem solving? Are they looking to do incident management and support and dealing with breaches and the aftermath of breaches and breach analysis? So industry being able to offer up things that the school can understand what it is and where it goes is kind of really, really key.
Excellent. So a whole variety of things in essence.
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to cover the whole industry and all of its subsections into bite-sized pieces that schools can digest, and that kids can say, I liked that, and that they can then say, well, how do I do more of that? You know, and that's really hard when there a lot of this stuff just isn't in the curriculum. That ability to compartmentalize, you know, if you're creative, then you can go here, here, and here, and if you like process, you go here, here, and here, and if you're wanting to develop a set of skills, well, you're just gonna have to wait until this is either a BTEC, you know, which has that opportunity, or when you get to college, or if there's an apprenticeship, and it's quite hard in a school environment. So I'm just trying to keep tech on the back burner. So even if they do just solid STEM subjects through A levels, let's say, they're still thinking about, but then I want to, even though I can't now, I suppose, whatever it is they're interested in.
Okay, thanks very much. I'm coming to you, Ard, now, and in many ways, the universities sit between the schools and work for cybersecurity professionals. And so how can universities work with both ends to help young people into career in cyber?
Thanks, Phil, for the question. It's not an easy question at all, but it's what we are busy with and working on pretty much every day. So the question is, what's that role in between school and industry? We do a lot with schools, and I think the biggest thing that we would like to see change, and we're just not succeeding, and the numbers are actually worse than they were in the last few years, is that we want both genders to participate in cyber as well as in digital in general, and it's just not happening. We lose the girls at age 12 or maybe even just before, and we're not getting them back until they're 21 and want to do digital after they've done a different degree. And so anything we can do there together with schools would be most welcome. We have an outreach program. We go to many schools, probably some of them are online. We would like to we just equip everything that we can to try to get more women in the sector. In terms of then linking that up with industry, if you have universities like Newcastle, and it's the same for our neighbors here, you know, Northumbria and most other universities, the problem is not a job after computer science. So the jobs are there. And I think it would be very important for industry to popularize and advertise their cyber job much more, so that cyber becomes a better known entity. Cyber at the moment maybe means cryptography or something quite scary, while in fact, if you look at Northumberland, some of the forensic degrees are some of the most interesting and actually diverse degrees that they run, and they're quite different from some of the traditional cyber computer degrees. Yeah, make sure that these jobs are visible to everyone. And then if there's anything we can do better, I think as a university, at the moment, industry, as well as the kids that come in, they only have one choice, and that is follow the whole degree. And that's where we could do something better, because we could do offers where we would help people with a non-computing degree, something in cyber, or upskilling of somebody who has done a job for a few years and then wants to do cyber at university level. And so that's where I think we could do a better connection between schools and industry.
Okay, thanks, Ard. So as I said earlier on now, that Northeast is a bit late to this party. So what more could we be doing to improve engagement between young people and their future career opportunities? Can I start with you, Patrick, on that?
So finding ways to support parents is also kind of key. So no kid makes a decision, or not many make a decision that is utterly independent of their parents, their broader family, as well as their school. Apologies if you hear my dog shouting, shadow in the background. Part of modern life, I guess now. So ways that we can run things that you think, right, okay, what am I trying to do? I'm trying to influence a year 7 or a year 8 student to think about technology in a slightly different way. How do I succeed? It isn't just a one-off event. It's how do I show parents, actually, there's a career here, there's jobs here, there's professionalism here, there's support here. It's not just hackers in hoodies hunched over laptops doing bad things. There's lots of great things you can do. It's inclusive, it's diverse. So it's putting a support package around the thing that you're doing, thinking of it, really kind of holistically, and allowing kids to choose the things they want to do. So the more opportunities they can to try different things, the better. And then as you go up through the levels, if you've got a computer science cohort going through year 10 and 11, how do you give them really interesting things to do that support their studies, aligned to their curriculum, but also have a really important cyber element too? And so it's kind of always look at who you're trying to do it for, how it fits, given your outcome, which is that you want the student to see that study option is really good for me. I think the saddest thing of all, within a bursary student of ours who obviously aware of cyber, tried cyber, got through our whole aptitude thing, started on a course that was probably really a bit theoretical and mathematical, hadn't realized that they could go and do a ethical hacking course up in Coventry and up in Apprenticeship. And it's kind of, why didn't you know that? And it's because no one helped them recognize, there's as I was saying, there's this forensics thing, and there's this IoT thing, and there's this crypto thing, and there's this networking thing, and then there's this whole human factors thing. Lots of courses in academia are slightly different in terms of cyber and the thing that they cover off as a specialism. Helping kids understand that is really hard. So if they did our advanced course, we do 4 deep dive days. So at least anyone who then makes a decision after they're 17 years old has had to go on forensics, had to go on OSINT, had to go on crypto, and had to go at kind of ethical hacking. So, and we've pointed out, if you're going this way, then this, if you enjoyed that, this is where you want to go. And it's, how do we make that kind of grow a bit, or how do we facilitate more people to be better informed about their choices? And I think a very long answer, I know, but that's the kind of thing that I want the Northeast to be able to do. More people can have a conversation about what their options are, rather than go all glazed-eyed and say, well, technology is not for me, I don't do technology, which is about the most annoying thing that anyone can ever do to me.
Okay, thanks, Patrick. And the same question for you, Chris. What could each of us do to improve engagement?
Well, I think the first thing is that you need to start as early as possible. Too much kind of in-depth careers education starts in secondary school and further up the year groups in secondary school. We're starting in the Northeast, in the Tees Valley, in the Tees Valley Combined Authority area, a primary careers pilot based around the Gatsby benchmarks and what that would look like in primary school. But I think that's also potentially an answer to some of the issues around gender. That, if you can really cement this idea of how diverse cyber is generally in primary school, then they're less likely to kind of drop off when they're in secondary school, and they start to encounter some of the stereotypes surrounding that. So I think you start early, you start in primary, and then I think a key thing is that you make sure that there are appropriate pathways for all sorts of students. So there isn't, I don't know what the options are in cyber in terms of non-university based routes or high level apprenticeships or that kind of thing. But if you want to widen out the people going into it, the types of things that they're interested in, etc., particularly at the moment, when the degrees cost an awful lot of money, you come out quite indebted at the end of it. I know you have bursaries and also quite a few employment opportunities when you come out, which is obviously a positive. But I think you need as many diverse routes, as career routes and career pathways as possible to attract students. Excellent, thanks. So Arda, you do lots of interesting things there. IoT was mentioned, and so what else do you think, what more could we do to improve that engagement?
Yeah, I don't have the answer to that. I mean, the thing is that we do a lot as universities, NCSC does a lot, you do a lot, others do a lot here on the call. And I think we just have to keep working away on it. I think what is definitely very helpful is calls like this, because it allows us to think from different perspectives and start to broaden our individual perspectives, and maybe start to work together on some things. So if there's anything I would suggest, is to encourage this kind of cross-fertilization between different sectors. Okay, thanks. So if you could just hang on, Ard, because I was going to talk to Adam about being a Dynamo member, but
university is a member of Dynamo. We're an organisation that's working to build the tech sector across the region. 160 members, businesses, universities, colleges, all sorts of things. What's the role of Dynamo, do you think, in helping in this area?
That fits actually very well with what I was just saying. So many people probably don't know Dynamo that are on the call, because Dynamo is mostly for enterprises, so it has sort of an industrial angle predominantly. But for us at the university, it is the #1 way to connect up with companies, to then start initiatives around big data, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, or cybersecurity that are potentially big for the region. And so it's very instrumental for that. Again, if there is a suggestion here where and I don't know how you look at that, and others on the call, Phil, if we could improve what Dynamo could do, is actually also talk with the non-enterprise sector. We can get more engagement across government and across charities, across schools, to figure out how we can, for instance, get more girls start doing something digital by having the companies work with the schools and have sort of an ecosystem that works yet better. But Dynamo makes big strides in that direction.
Excellent, thanks. Well, I think you're absolutely right. It's only fairly recently that we've engaged with the schools to try and we've had a lot of engagement with universities, colleges, but schools, I think we could do a lot more work. So if there's anybody's interested, please just Google us, Dynamo Northeast, and there's a lot of information about what we do. So coming back to you, Patrick, what's the minimum time allocation required for Key Stage 3? Do you know?
Yeah, I see the question. I've had a go at it. I haven't read this form in forever, because I took over this job. Well, I take over this job on Tuesday, so but I've been in the team a while. I think it's around 45 minutes to an hour that we're looking for, but it you know, within Key Stage 3, I see, computer science and technology, if it's being offered, as a hybrid in other places, then it's all added together. And I think I know that sounds a really evasive answer, but I see the future being that if we're never going to get over that, I think the average computer science Key Stage 3 is 45 minutes per pupil per week per school, from the Roehampton report, I think. How do I get more in? Well, the curriculum isn't going to move a millimeter as far as I'm concerned, or the DfE is saying. So how do I get a little bit into other subjects? How do we support a maths teacher doing a Scratch session or a programming session? Can we get someone from industry in just to reinforce that session? So it still stays as maths on the curriculum, but actually it's got quite a strong technology. And I think, how do we do that in geography? How do we bring data science skills into geography, that kind of stuff? And I think that'd be a really nice way, within an application, say this is how we're intending to increase the provision within the Key Stage. Perhaps at the moment, it qualifies as bronze, but if you look with Dynamo or whatever other groups of industry are out there, whether it's CyberFirst or whatever, to say we've got 10 hours where we're bringing someone in and they're going to do something in a digital context, a computer science context within our Key Stage 3 provision, then I see that as quite meritorious and a really good way of helping the DfE get digital into their curriculum when everybody is moaning, whether they're musicians or drama or science, saying no, we need more of the curriculum. Kids are only in school a certain amount of times. How do we help them do cross-curricular activities within a lesson? I'd see as being a really progressive way. I know it sounds a bit Northern European, so hopefully maybe Ard would be supportive of that. But science should be science as far as I'm concerned, and the breaking it into 3 is not necessarily helpful. And I'd like computer science.
Very helpful note from Stuart to say that it's
there we go. Someone who's read the form.
And 1 hour
Someone's read the form. Excellent. Thank you, Stuart.
The other helpful comment, just looked at the form, smiley. So there you go.
Yeah. I was trying to read it as I was doing it, and I just failed miserably to multitask.
Okay, right. Well, thank you very much. So, coming back to you, Chris, then, we're all busy people. What do you think is the single biggest thing that we can do to help more young people into the industry?
Well, I think the obvious thing would be to take advantage of technology, kind of, pardon sort of silly pun there, but in terms of engaging with schools, I think, as I've said before, schools traditionally would have wanted employees to come onto the premises, come into the classroom, that kind of thing. Work experience, traditionally, you'd have students going out into the premises of an employer and spending, a week there or 2 weeks there, that kind of thing. With all of the developments around COVID, I think the schools are certainly streets ahead of where they were 6, 7, 8 months ago in terms of engaging with technology. They're having to provide online learning. They're using all sorts of tools to do that. They're providing tuition online as well. So I think that all of that really needs to translate into a sort of a careers environment for cyber. So, what opportunities are there for really meaningful, in-depth work experience that can really engage students, that can be done virtually, that doesn't require the employer to necessarily come in, or for students to go out. And I think cyber has a massive advantage over a lot of employers, because even going back to a long time ago, when I was at school and you were offered work experience, there might be a really good option, but it was only available to, say, 2 students. Whereas there shouldn't be any reason for that, because technically you could, or theoretically, you could have an employer in New Zealand providing work experience for a school in Wooler in darkest Northumberland. So I think that really you need to make sure that this whole sort of agenda is as accessible to schools as possible, using the kind of technology that you've got at your disposal.
Excellent. I think very good point. I mean, the world's a different place now, Chris, than it was a few months ago. Same question for you, Ard. What's the single biggest thing that we can offer?
The biggest thing we can do. From my experience, trying to make things happen in terms of all the way back recruiting into computer science, getting women staff in computing, etc. Everything is about buzz, and it maybe sounds a bit odd, but it's about creating something that people want to join. And cyber does that quite well, but only for a particular segment of the techie population. Then cyber is really there's a buzz there when we talk about cyber with the kids that really like computing. And so what I would say is that we want to, on the one hand, create that buzz for a wider population, and that can be that's something national, is on a big scale. And then individually, we can create that buzz by, if we go as university professors to the schools, that we make it interesting and make it they want to come. If we talk on a forum like this, that we start to get interested in what's happening in the field of cyber, etc. And so buzz is there at all different scales. But I think that's sort of where it all begins and ends, and that's what will make the difference.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. My view is that really I think there's a lot more work to be done with parents rather than just children, parents and people who influence children. I mean, if you think cybersecurity is in everything that we do now: advanced manufacturing, offshore renewables, maritime, logistics, all the things that are real industries that we rely upon good cybersecurity. So I think it's a much bigger story to tell. Okay, any final comments from you then, Patrick, at the NCSC?
Just that it's I think we're covering quite a lot of stuff here, but we're really hoping to build an ecosystem. We're hoping to support schools. We're hoping to find an offer tailored to the school. We don't have a blueprint for what a CyberFirst school looks like or does, and if a school has a particular direction, then we can particularly much point that to them. And I think kind of the answer to the last question, if I can show students they can get paid to do what they would regard as a hobby, if you like doing this, you can do more of it and get paid. I think that's a really interesting message to get across, and kind of show we truly mean we want diversity. We need different people to be able to solve problems in different ways, not just the same people solving the old problems. So I think if students can engage with how they can contribute to that, whatever part of it is, then I think the Northeast is a fabulous place that we can kind of build something special. So I hope I've reassured people on the call that this is a real opportunity for the schools that apply, and the colleges.
Okay, that's great. Thank you very much, Patrick. And CyberNorth is that community. That's exactly what we're trying to do. We're trying to link industry, academia, government, national, local, central government, and the populace into one sort of cybersecurity community that works for each other. Well, I think we're running out of time, so that's it for today. I'd like to thank Patrick from the NCSC, Chris, Ard van Moorsel, and I'd also like to wish Adam to get well soon. I think he had struck down with illness, so get well soon. Thanks for your great contributions, of course, you, the audience, for taking part. This event will be posted on YouTube shortly, along with a wide range of other material on cybersecurity. So my name is Phil Jackman. If you just Google me, you can find me and make your way to all the information that you need. So thank you and stay safe. Cheers now.